Harmony is an orchestration tool for Qlik. It allows you to manage multiple Qlik environments from in one place rather than having to go into each individual QMC and managing each individual tenant from there. You can do it all in one place within Cyferd, which is what makes it super efficient. So essentially how it works is we have a wall of KPIs, and these KPIs essentially tell you the status of your Qlik estate. So anything in green means it's all good. Anything in, I guess, white would be amber in this case, means, it's neutral. It's nothing really good or bad or happening there. And then red is things that you'd need to take action on. So it's a good way to see like a general overview of your entire Qlik estate so that it's easy to find if there is, a problem somewhere in my Qlik environment. Where does that problem persist? And then you can easily just navigate to it in Cyferd, and then any changes you make in Cyferd gets pushed back to that Qlik environment, and that way it's all completely in sync. So the way that this has been architected is that essentially Cypher have workflows in the background, and what in this case what the workflow is doing is resyncing Cypher with the Qlik platform around every 10 minutes or so. So essentially it's almost a real-time sync that's happening between the two platforms so that the administrators are presented with the most up-to-date data from Qlik, and it's constantly being displayed in Cypher so you can perform actions on it which are, I guess, in sync and actually persist on the Qlik environment. So Harmony contains all of the different assets to a linked instance. So in this case here is where you'd enter in all of your Qlik instances. You just give it a few details. All it is simply a URL of the Qlik tenant and an API key, and just like that, you're off. You can start performing as many managerial actions as you want on each instance. So, for example, what we can do is we can bring in all the different assets from the Qlik environment, and from here we can perform actions on them by going into the manage, which essentially allows to perform actions such as renaming, reassigning, deleting, adding, pretty much anything that you'd want to do. Because what we've noticed when building this is Qlik Cloud has a lot of, I guess, limitations and weaknesses, as it's still something that's actively being developed by Qlik. So what Harmony is looking to do is to actually fill those weaknesses in and to actually get around them, and so you can actually experience, I guess, the full power of Qlik Cloud using Cyferd, because Qlik have a bunch of APIs known as the manage APIs, and a lot of those APIs contain some good functionality that businesses can use, but it's not fully implemented in an efficient way in Qlik Cloud right now. So essentially using Harmony to provide an interface over all of those APIs allows you to, you know, have control over each API, and you can actually use it to its full extent. So for example, with applications, we can manage reloads, we can start off reloads with applications. It's also cost effective by doing it from Cypher. Doesn't take as much compute as it would doing it within Qlik. We can check status of reloads, see if anything has passed, if anything has failed. So if anything has failed, we get an error status, and it will tell us what the error is, so we know what to do. In whether it's resolving that from Cypher or Qlik. We can manage users. So essentially, in this case, this should be managing user licenses and being able to see what assets they currently own, so that if you were to delete a user, you'd see, okay, what is this user dependent on? And if they are dependent on something, you'd maybe think twice about deleting them and maybe looking to reassign those assets first. So, for example, if I click random user, we can manage the license, we can choose to delete it. If they don't have any, we can add them. And ultimately just makes managing instances super easy, essentially because you can manage multiple in one place. So it's super, I guess, efficient and quick compared to doing it one by one in the QMC. And in terms of AI, so Cypher have their own. So when we talk about neurogenesis, Cypher have their own like built-in example of neurogenesis, and that's used to actually build, I guess, some of the data collections that we use in Cypher. So have utilized that in some ways in Harmony, where essentially instead of having to, think, well, which fields and collections do I need to capture certain information, I can just let neurogenesis do it for me. So I've got an example here. So when you create a new collection, you have a small generate. All you do is you give it a name. So let's do an employee collection, for example. Give it a prompt. Employee collection contains payroll info and populate a drop-down list of roles. Using neurogenesis, we can generate a collection just like this. And this has been used in some data collection in the making of Harmony. It saves a lot of time, increases productivity like crazy, and super efficient, and honestly listens to what the prompt I give it. So for example, I've got a list of roles here: supervisor, team lead, associate. We've got payroll info with the salary. So it listens, it's effective, it's efficient, and increases productivity pretty much as you need, really. You're not spending all that time thinking about what fields to put in and what data to capture. So Harmony isn't only limited to Qlik, for example. So you can have other technologies connect to it, such as Power BI or Google BigQuery. So pretty much any technology that has a set of APIs that we can work with when it comes to bringing in data, pushing out data, manipulating data, we can connect to Cyferd using integrations. So any external system that has, I guess, a valid set of APIs with an integration can be easily plugged into Harmony, and you can manage those environments as well. Qlik just being an example, but it can be many technologies and different types of applications. With Cypher's workflows, essentially they can be used as a trigger of pretty much any action that you perform in Cyferd. So for example, let's say you have a record, you want to update it, you click save. On update, you can then, create a workflow which essentially talks to the Qlik environment and says, okay, push a refresh whenever this record is updated. So that way any change made in Cypher can be pushed into Qlik and make the change over there, pretty much wherever you want. It's just a matter of you telling it what you want. When it comes to time save, the only thing I can really say is huge. It's a massive time save, because when it comes to large businesses that would have multiple Qlik tenants, if they wanted to manage each tenant, they'd have to go into each individual QMC to manage that specific tenant. With Cypher, you have a list of instances that you can simply just click onto any one of them, or just look for any of their related assets and manage it this way. So the time it takes for you to manage one tenant, come out of QMC, go into another tenant, go into the QMC, you're eliminating essentially all of that time with Harmony, which is, of course, increases productivity by a lot, and essentially just makes the overall experience of managing a tenant much more smoother.
Subscribe for more Smarter BI content, or contact us at info@differentia.consulting so we can tailor Smarter BI solutions to your specific requirements. Thanks for watching, and stay smart.